has been fundamental to this country since its beginning. And over and over and over again. Over and over again. We see the new example of what happened in that famous Supreme Court decision of Dred Scott, who was an escaped slave. We took his master to court, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. That august body that would want to worship, you think is some sort of divinely inspired institution of democracy. And the Supreme Court, what did they say? They issued a ruling in the Dred Scott decision in 1850, and they said, Chief Justice Taney said, that the black man has no right that the white man is required to respect. Now, Jacob Blake, as Yari said, Jacob Blake was shot in the back 7 times. But unlike so many others, he did not die. He managed to escape death, although he is now paralyzed. And like an escaped slave, they shackled him. They did not just shackle him by the wrists. It turns out they shackled him by the ankles as well, even though he is paralyzed from the legs down. So this cannot help but remind us, if we look at history, of those horrendous graphics that we see about some of the reality of slavery that the rulers of this country, of both parties, wanted to erase and have forgotten, which is how escaped slaves were tortured, frequently with special shackles that would cut into their flesh to set an example that others should not escape. Okay? And again it keeps happening, not simply or even mainly because of particular attitudes in the heads of particular individuals, but because the social system requires racial oppression to function, as it has since its beginning. And so when we talk about structural racism and racial oppression, we want people to think about it deeply, because we really are determined to pull it up by the roots, so we have to understand those roots. Secondly, why does this group keep talking about the Democratic Party so much? Pretty much every speaker keeps talking about the Democratic Party. Why is that? Don't they understand how horrible Trump is? Well, yes, we understand how horrible Donald Trump is. And every day he gives us new examples. But how the hell did he get into the presidency? What kind of society put that type of person into the presidency? After what? After years of alternation between the two parties that have run this country for a century and a half or more. And now they want us to pretend or believe or talk us into the idea, well, just this one more time, and then it's going to be okay. No, it's not. So why do we talk? Very few people in New York City, let alone people who come to a protest like this, let alone people that want to protest against racist oppression, have illusions in the Republican Party. But a lot have illusions in the Democratic Party. A lot. The labor movement in this country overwhelmingly is chained to the Democratic Party. Okay? Civil rights organizations are mainly subordinated politically to the Democratic Party. Okay? Civil liberties organizations, immigrant rights organizations, and the most of the left subordinated or willfully subordinates itself to the Democratic Party. So when we talk about unchaining, the power that can effectively fight against racist oppression, we're talking about, first of all, fighting to break the chains of political subordination. That means that when a racist outrage, like the willful maiming of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, occurs, that the Democratic loyal organizations do virtually nothing to protest. Next. This is a different type of rally. Most rallies that you go to these days, first you have to stand around and be guilt-tripped. Right? You have to stand around and be guilt-tripped. Okay? Alright? And go through some ritual guilt-trip nonsense theatricality. And even in some cases, agree to segregation of the rallies. We have an article, No Segregation, an anti-racist protest. Sometimes you go to a protest and they say, well, this kind of people stand over there, and that kind of people stand over there. Sometimes they've even done that with undocumented immigrants and people with papers. They have the chutzpah or the idiocy to willfully display to the repressive forces who doesn't have what kind of goddamn little piece of paper that they don't take seriously. State repression, well, we do. Next point. So, learning from history. So, I want to say a few personal things, somewhat personal with your permission.